at Jupiter. I guess he's gonna be my backdrop for the video. If you don't do nothing crazy. Just give it a couple minutes to see if anybody else is gonna jump on. Jupiter, please don't act a fool. Let's see. For anybody that's on, let me know if you can hear me and see me clearly. I'm gonna just wait like maybe 2 minutes before I begin the topic. Okay, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Can you hear? Can you hear? Okay. I'm just waiting for one more person who said that they was on waiting, but I don't see them on yet. I sent out a text to other people in the group to see if they was interested in joining, but probably not. I don't know. Maybe they watch a recording. Maybe they just are busy. It's Saturday. Go under. Become kind of live. Kimberly, aka Mom. Okay, how did you find the live? Somebody's having trouble. Oops, I think they might be on. Never mind. I was about to ask you, how did you find the live? Oh, nope, they didn't find it. How did you find the live? They're having trouble finding the live. Did you go to the announcements, like the little bell? Let me know how you found it. I'm just trying to help one of the members find how to get into the live. They're trying to get into the live. I think you go into the announcement bell, or it's under the overcoming obstacles. Let me know how you found it. The people that are on in the chat, text in the chat. Let me see. Text in the chat, text in the chat. Let me know how you got on. I'm just trying to help another member really quick. Okay, I think they might be on. Let's see. Yes, everybody is on that I think will be participating today. So I will first like to say thank you for coming and taking a little 30 minutes out of your time to join this discussion. I am going to invite you guys on as speakers because I would like you guys to participate and add your thoughts, your experiences, and, you know, maybe some solutions on how we can overcome setting these boundaries and protecting our peace without feeling guilty, overwhelmed, and stressed. So there's a topic today. So again, thank you for coming. Good day, everybody. All is well today. Hopefully everybody is having a good day. I know some of the members are in a little pain today. I am sending you some positivity and some natural painkillers. So hopefully these good endorphins that you get from hearing this positivity on this video will uplift you and send some endorphins out to help heal your mouth. Oops, I got another member texting. I'm sorry. I'm having trouble logging in. Okay, I don't know what to tell you right now because I'm in the middle. Hang on, I'm sorry. Okay, all right, that's it. I'm not gonna go back to my phone. If they can't get on, they can't get on. Yes, I'm just sending some positivity your way, so hopefully you heal soon. Today's topic and discussion will be about balancing boundaries and without guilt and protecting our peace while creating balance in life without feeling overwhelmed, guilty, and stressed, as well as the importance of choosing ourselves. Question: how many of us said yes when our body was saying no, was screaming no, didn't want to do things, but we did it out of guilt, out of feeling obligated, and things like that. And then how many of us love so hard that we forgot about ourselves? And I can say that all of us did at some point in life, because clearly you guys voted on this topic for discussion out of all of the polls that I did. So clearly we have some issues here, or not issues, but some things we want to address, some things we would like to fix, some things we would like to grow on. And that's what this platform is about. It's about healing. It's about growing. It's about addressing things that people often don't like to talk about because maybe they feel too vulnerable or they don't want to put their business out there. As you guys can see, I'm an open book. I really don't hide much, because I'm human and I like to share my experiences. I like to share my thoughts because I know if I'm going through it at some point in somebody's life, they're going to go through it, or it's the person next to them is going to go through it, meaning their close loved one, whether it's a child, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a best friend. Because as we know, life happens to all of us in different ways at different times. So again, I like to do this platform just to kind of bring us together, bring our thoughts together, maybe let some things out, or maybe even address some things that we didn't even think was an issue, to put just some light on it, to talk about topics that we probably don't think about because we're so used to hustle and bustle every day with going to work, going to school, going, taking care of children, whatever it is, that we forget about real life topics that affect us deeply that needs to be addressed. This platform, I hope it helped you as much as it helped me, but it helps me grow a lot in many ways. Still a work in progress. We're lifelong learners. We're going to always be learning. We're going to always be growing. Let me let you guys on as speakers. Hang on. Let's see if I know how to do that. I haven't done it in a while because most people don't like to speak. Oh, here we go. Let me see. So you don't have to talk if you don't want to. I'm just inviting you guys. So when there is something that I would like you guys to speak about, share your experiences, your thoughts, and all that good stuff, I want you guys to be available and able to do that. Okay. I'm just inviting everybody now. We all can't speak at once, obviously, right? So please be mindful and respectful. If you hear somebody speaking or trying to speak, okay, I got 2 more to invite. Hang on. Or 3 more, actually. What is going on? Oh, come on. Right? Having technical difficulties here. Almost there. Bear with me, guys. Bear with me. All right, I think I got everybody on as a speaker that's on the platform. Okay, good. So you should have received an invite, and that invite is to join in on this live, okay? Because sometimes I get bored talking, always talking, giving information. But again, like I said, hopefully this information that you guys are receiving is helpful to you. It's just as well as it's helpful to me. It's allowing us to grow. It's allowing us to heal. It's allowing us to address, like I said, situations that oftentimes we don't think about because we're so used to our schedules, our hustle and bustle every day. Sorry. Elisha has a client. Okay, no worries. Like I said, you don't have to speak if you don't want to. I just sent the invitation just in case you want to talk. All right, so moving forward, and I posed the question of how many of us have experienced saying yes when we really wanted to say no. And if we did, which all of us have at some point, why does that happen? Why do we oftentimes neglect ourselves, but will be there for somebody else at the drop of a dime, or even when we don't feel like it? Why do we constantly show up for others and not show up for ourselves in the same way? A lot of it is learned behavior. Most of it is learned behavior. Behavior that we've seen as a child, seen our grandparents do, our mothers do, our fathers do. Everybody had that grandmother. I shouldn't say everybody because that's being general. Most of us had a grandmother or somebody in a family who always fed the neighborhood. We see it in movies all the time. The grandmother, aunt, or elder who always feed the neighborhood when they barely have anything. They were always over generous. They're always over giving. So these are learned behaviors that we see and begin to normalize as children without even realizing. Because if you think about it, everything about us up until this day is a learned behavior, whether we learned it later on in life or we learned it as a child, because that's what life is. We learn from our environments, we learn from our peers, we learn from our parents. So over giving and not putting ourselves first is definitely a learned behavior. Like I said, watching grandma, watching mom overgive, give to everybody, give her last dime to help one of her children. Now, is that wrong? Yes and no. It becomes wrong, or it becomes an issue and a problem when we're depleting ourselves. It becomes an issue and a problem when we're stressed out because we have to keep showing up for that family member that keep showing up for that family member. When we keep showing up for that family member who has that expectation that we keep giving them because we gave them in the past. We keep driving them places because we've done it in the past. Now, I'm not saying not help your loved ones. I'm not saying not to be generous, because we know the saying, it is better to give than receive, but with some stipulations and some criteria behind it, meaning you're not depleting yourself. Your cup should be full before you start giving. But this is what we do. Our cup, I'm guilty of it too. Now, when I'm speaking to you guys, I'm speaking to myself first, because I can only speak off experience, right? And what I see. And most of the time I'm speaking off experience, because I still do it, right? So I'm learning just like everybody else. I'm here just like everybody else, wanting to find a healthy balance and say no and be firm about it, saying a word that goes straight to the point, mean what I say what I mean, and stand on business, as they say. When I say I can't do something, and not feel guilty about it, not feeling obligated that I have to make the, say yes because I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, say yes because I don't want to let somebody down. So like I said, I'm speaking off experience. So I lost my train of thought. I don't know what happened. I think because I got to turn my phone around because I got somebody texting me that they can't get in, and it's distracting me. I apologize, guys. Who's on? Somebody tell me where I was going with this conversation. I know where I was going, but I want to continue it. We were talking about not feeling guilty, obviously, for saying yes to these situations and it being learned behavior from what we see. So again, the way, like for every problem or every situation, there should be solutions to it, right? So with all of us having this issue, with all of us at some point or another in our life feeling drained, depleted, because we are constantly giving, and our cup, I think this is where I left off at, our cup is half full, because we'll let our cup get half full, right? So we feel like we have enough. We feel like we have enough energy. So then we start giving, or doing. And before you know it, our cup, what happens? If we're not pouring into ourselves, not putting ourselves first, right? Here's my water bottle. It's an analogy, right? So if this bottle's half full, I should have had another cup so I can actually do a demonstration. That would have been so cool. Actually, pause. I'm going to get another cup. Give me 2 seconds. 2 seconds. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. I'm back. I love analogies. I'm sorry. I'm a visual person. I love analogies. And this is a beautiful analogy. So here we have it. This is us, right? This is a little more than halfway full, right? Because this is half. I don't know if you can see it. This is about here. This is halfway full. This represents family, friends, work, spouses, you name it, whoever we're given to. So here we go with our cup. We think we got it all full and we are able to give, right? And it's okay, like I said, to give a little. So here, I give a little to my work, right? Now, here's the analogy. I'm giving, but I'm not pouring back in, right? So I'm giving. I done gave to my work, gave to my family, gave to my friends, gave to the stranger in the street. Now, what's happening here? As you can see, I'm depleting and depleting, still not fully depleted. But what happens if I keep on giving until I don't have no more? We reach that point of being stressed. We reach that point of being overwhelmed. We reach that point of feeling guilty because now we ain't got nothing to give, or we want to give, but it's so hard because we stop pouring into ourselves, right? So we have to, I'm not going to do this demonstration because then I'll be making a science project mess. Here's another bottle of water. We got to pour into ourselves. Keep pouring until it's overflowing. I don't know if you can see that other cup. This is the cup right here. We got to keep giving to ourselves, pouring into ourselves, putting ourselves first until this cup overflows, this bottle overflows, and now it's able to go into family, into work, into friends, into, the people in the street. You get the point? If you understand, I'm going to pause right here to make sure everybody's following and get that analogy, because I think that's very important. So in the chat, if you understand what I was saying and understand where we're going with that, just put a thumbs up, a yes, understand, something, so I can know that we're listening and on the same page. Because if not, I'm still going to go on regardless. Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. But it's very important. So what does that look like when we choose ourselves first? We're taught that it's selfish, right? It's not being selfish. It's not being selfish at all. This is, again, a learned behavior, because even in religion, it tells us it's better to give to receive, donate, give. But how am I going to keep giving and not giving back to myself? Or how do I find a balance, right? Because we're talking about balance. That's something I've been dealing with a lot. And my experience and what I'm going through right now is balance, because I have a very, very, very intense schedule. I have 2 toddlers. I have a business that I'm trying to do. Now I'm about to do something else that's, going to transition my life to something else. But, and sometimes I am depleted, but I try not to let my kids feel it out of anybody else, because it's not their fault that, I got this full plate that I made for myself. So I try to always let them, if I'm going to pour into anything else, it's them, everything else would be kind of on a back burner. Now that could be a problem too. I'm not talking about for younger kids, because younger kids, they're innocent. They have no clue. They didn't ask to be here. So we have to kind of, find that balance with them, whether as parents, whether we want to or not. Now these older kids, these older ones, adults, that's 20, 25, hitting 30. Now, that's a whole different story. I'm not saying not love your kids. I'm not saying not to guide them and direct them, but there is balance, right? You have to set your boundaries to protect your peace, because think about it. Here's another thing to think about. If you are constantly giving to your kids and stop what you're doing and, stressing about them, if something happens to you or you become sick because you done depleted your cup, you ain't got nothing left, your well is dry, your funds is dry, your emotions is dry, your physical is dry, and you just dried up, right? Just a dried up little noodle. Who's going to take care of them? Who's going to take care of you, right? So we have to give back to ourselves. And what does that look like? Putting yourself first. That means doing some self-care. It's individual based, because I don't know what it is that you want out of life. I don't know what it is that you're striving for. I don't know what it is that soothes you. Whatever that is, that's putting yourself first. It could be going to get a massage every week. It could be just chilling in the bed and telling people, like I said, saying words that go straight to the point, meaning what you say and saying what you mean, and standing on business. Meaning, if XYZ is having an event, and it could be a close friend, it could be a relative or whatever, but you just worked 18 hours, you're going to want to stay at home and relax. And I know many of us done been there, because I've been there. We'll agree to say we're going somewhere, and then when it's time comes, we're like, dang, I don't feel like going. I'm tired. I want to relax. It's my day off. I just want to kick my feet up and do whatever it is you do to relax. But we still go because we don't want to feel guilty. We don't want to feel like we're letting somebody down. But in the end, who suffers? Your friend, your loved one, your relative, whoever, coworker, who suffers? Them or you? That's putting yourself last. So we need to be able to communicate. And here's the key to all of this. Communicating effectively, communicating, being direct, but respectful. It's a way to get a message across, and it's a way to put yourself first without feeling guilty. You have to mean what you say what you mean, and stand on business. And guess what? If they can't accept that and respect that, it becomes a them problem, not a you problem. Now they got to figure out why they upset because you chose yourself first. If they can't understand that and respect that, that's not your problem. And we need to stop making other people's problems our problems. Now, I'm not saying it's not selfish. It's not, again, like, this is learned behavior. This is learned theology. This is learned thoughts that when you choose yourself first, you're being selfish. That's not true. When you choose yourself first, how can you be good to anybody else or be your best self for anybody else or anything else if you're not good to yourself first? How can I be my best self for my children, for my work, for anybody if I'm not pouring into myself mentally, spiritually, physically, financially? How can I give somebody if I'm not set fit financially? And in order to get set financially, you have to do things to put yourself in a position to help others, right? You have to make sure this cup is overflowing in here, not depleted, not half empty, because we saw what happens if we keep pouring and not giving back. We're going to deplete. And that goes for, like I said, all realms: spiritual, financial, emotional, physical, all of those things. So the key again is being aware. Awareness is key. Communication is key, because we can't fix things that we don't know is a problem. We can't address things that we don't talk about if we are constantly putting it on a back burner because we're, in the hustle and bustle all the time, right? So sometimes you got to pause. Sometimes you got to reflect. This past year of my life, I've been doing a lot of reflecting on my behaviors, reflecting on the things around me, reflecting on why I felt like this. And it's very helpful with reflecting, pausing, and like I said, granted, I am not where I want to be in life in a lot of different areas, but the key is I know where my weaknesses are. I know what I need to work on, and I actively do it. I actively inspire others to do it. Like I said, I hope this platform helps you guys as much as it helped me. This is what you do daily becomes your habits, whether it's daily scrolling, and we all got that scroll problem if we got social media. We have to know how to detach from certain things. Unless you want that to be your habit every day. And sometimes it's not bad, because social media can be good depending on what you're feeding yourself. They're called feeds for a reason. What you're feeding yourself. So if your feeds is all positive, all motivation, all about business strategies, all about, productive things, that's not really bad. Because to me, I call it, my husband gets upset with me when I do it. I'm like, I'm just watching TV. What's the difference from me watching TV or watching my social media? I call it, I'm just changing channels, because that's basically what it is. But again, you want to make sure to pour into yourself before you pour into others, because you don't want to feel stressed. You don't want to feel depleted, and you want to show up as your best self for your loved ones, because if not, it comes off angry. You come off upset. You come off irritable. You come off grumpy. You come off confused. You come off all of the negative, toxic things. That's what you become when you're constantly giving and not slowing down to take care of yourself. And like I said, that looks different for different people. What makes you feel good and how you pour into yourself is going to be different from how I pour into myself. Does that make sense? I hope you guys are following me, and I hope it's not too all over the place. But yeah, if anybody want to jump in and kind of add on to what I'm saying, if you kind of want, and you don't have to do it live. I did invite speakers. I think I have one more speaker to invite. I did invite speakers, but if you don't want to join, that is totally fine. You can send it in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Let's see. Hang on. Just inviting some more speakers here that jumped on kind of later in the conversation to see if they want to talk. A lot of you guys are so bashful. I wonder why. Is it because it's stuff too vulnerable? Do you guys not like to talk about your experiences? Is it too vulnerable for you guys? There's no judgment here. And I feel like everybody on the platform, a lot of you don't even know each other. You're in different states. And this is life, like I said, I talk about life the way it happens to me, the way I see it happen to others. And to be honest, I'm pretty sure it happens to everybody in some shape, form, or fashion. Like I said, I wouldn't be sitting here talking about this topic if you guys wasn't experiencing some overwhelmness about balance in life with boundaries and protecting your peace, because you guys voted on this, the ones who did. Not everybody votes in the group. But apparently, we are experiencing the same things. And I've been told by a couple members, some of the things I post, it resonate with you guys. So I know that the things I go through, other people go through. And this is why I share my light, spread my ambience of light with the group, because I'm hoping that my experiences can probably help somebody else. That's what my group is about. Yeah, some people aren't comfortable speaking in public, but guess what? You gotta start somewhere. You don't get like this overnight. I used to hate public speaking, believe it or not. True story. I did not like being in front of crowds of people, like football games, how you got to walk past all the people to get to your seat, or a basketball game. Oh, I hated it until I was in my mid 30s. Okay. Look at that. I was like 35 when I finally start to get comfortable with myself and not be afraid to speak my mind, say the word that goes straight to the point, mean what I say what I mean, and stand on business. And if somebody don't like it, it's a them problem, not a me problem. How they say, the older you get, the more fluent you come with your mouth. Like, you don't care what come out your mouth. Now, I do care what come out my mouth, because I don't say bad words. I do try to stay positive. I do say, good things. But if it's making me uncomfortable, I'm gonna find a way to say it, or I won't say nothing at all, because I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings or whatever like that. But I don't want to get too off topic. But again, that guilt that we feel, those are learned behaviors. It's from seeing, like I said, grandma overgive, overfeed. People give when we know she ain't, that wealthy, but she'll give somebody her last dollar, feeding the whole neighborhood. And it comes from another thing. It comes from is, believe it or not, words that are said to us as kids. When people say things to you like, go ahead and sit down, ain't nothing wrong with you, or stop crying if I give you something to cry for, or let me see, what's another one? I had a whole bunch of them earlier. Let me think. It's just certain things that people that we know parents said to us as a kids that was dismissive, making us feel like our feelings weren't valid, making us feel like if we expressed how we feel or said what we meant, even as a child, that we would cause conflict in the house. So that creates fear, that creates a behavior, that creates like fear of conflict. You don't want to be seen as a bad person. You don't want to be rejected. So all of those things, they matter as a kid, and you don't realize it. And this is why with my children, I don't dismiss their feelings, because I hate that. Just because they're 4 and 6, don't mean their feelings aren't valid. So if they're crying, if they're angry and upset about something, you got to think about it. A child world is different from ours. They're not worried about bills. They're not even worried about friends at this point. A 4-year-old only worried about snacks or watching TV. They're things that mean the world to them seems minute or nothing to us, but that don't mean we should dismiss their feelings, because when we do, we're creating individuals that grow up to be fearful, to feel like they can't speak up. And this is something with self-confidence too. Self-confidence starts at a young age. My children can be confident. A lot of people don't like the way I raise my kids. And granted, there are some things I need to change with some discipline. I'm not saying I'm perfect and have it all together, because I don't think I'm better than anybody. I don't think I have it all together. Like I said, I'm a lifelong learner. I am open to critiques, constructive criticism. I'm open to learning new things, and I can learn from just about anybody. I take what I like and leave what I don't, right? That's life. But I'm raising them to be not fearful. I'm raising them to be independent thinkers. I don't want them to be going with the flock, So I'm trying to raise them a little different from the norm of what we were raised. Children shouldn't say this. They shouldn't do this. Why not? Not saying be disrespectful. They shouldn't be disrespectful to any adult. They shouldn't talk, but I agree with that. But they have opinions. We shouldn't never dumb them down and tell them to be quiet, or that like what they feel doesn't matter, because that creates that low self-confidence. That creates, that feeling of guilt. If I say something or if I do this, I feel bad. So I better just give it to them, or just conform to make the situation peaceful, to make everything okay. All these things is real, but we don't think about it because of, again, learned behavior of what was passed down. And this goes back, I can take it all the way back to slavery times. And I talk about this in my other videos, what your great 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 grandmother went through, and the things that she developed in her character, she passed it down to her child, and then that child, and that child, and that child. And this is where you talk about breaking generational curses. And unless somebody does the work, unless somebody turn them light bulbs on and say, you know what, let me reflect and see, unlearn some things that probably wasn't the proper way, because my great 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 grandmother didn't have the tools, or it wasn't just, it wasn't available to her, or whatever the case may be. Maybe she didn't have the smarts. I don't know. I can't speak for them, but whatever the case was that caused this unwanted behavior to happen, let me unlearn this and learn it the correct way. Let me try something different. But we are scared to break traditions for whatever reason. And some of them need to be broken. Some of them need to be broken, because then we just become like a flock. We don't think for ourselves. We never sit and reflect and think about, is this the correct way to do this? Could I've done it some way different? It's like, nope, my mother did this way, so I'm going to do it this way. My great grandmother did, and like I said, some things is valid and they should stay in the family and tradition, but some things need to be unlearned, because just because you saw your grandmother do it or your great great grandmother do it, don't mean it was right. And that's a fact. Okay. Let me see if I'm missing anything here. Some of the terminology that I was looking for is like when people say, or your mom or somebody say, who do you think you are? Well, geez, I thought I was a person of, this is a child of mine. Probably I thought I was a human being that had feelings and emotions, but I guess I can't express them. So I guess I'm just gonna, feel guilty or feel obligated. I'm not obligated, feel like I can't express how I feel at the moment because I'm going to get in trouble. It's almost like dumbing them down. So we just have to be mindful, people who have young children, and even people who have adult children, how we communicate. Because remember I said communication is key. Being able to communicate how you feel and say words that go straight to the point, because I don't know what the next person feel or what they're going through, just like they don't know what I feel and I'm going through unless I communicate it. Now, there is a such thing as over communicate, in which when we're talking about boundaries and we're talking about protect your peace, sometimes no should be enough. You don't have to explain. And like I said, if they can't accept and respect that, then it's a them problem. So it's up to you how much you want to communicate your boundary. I'm an open book, and I feel like the more I communicate, and this is probably too from trauma, I just feel like the more I communicate, the better the person can understand, without them feeling let down or whatever, but again, if you don't feel like it, if you're the type of person that say, hey, I don't want to over communicate this, I just don't feel like showing up today, that should be it. Stand on your business. Like, hey, I really would love to come today. I'm just not going to make it. You don't got to give them no explanation. You ain't got to tell them you work. You ain't got to tell them your feet hurt, your throat hurt. You don't have to do that. No is no. And like I said, if they can't accept that, it's on them. We got to learn how to stop feeling guilty about that, right? But again, the learned behavior, we were taught so much in our lives to not communicate how we feel. And if we really truly communicate how we feel, it's like it's an unwanted behavior. It's an unwanted, like we're letting people down. These things turn into adulthood. It's so much more to this topic, but again, I didn't want to go over 30 minutes. I think I might be hitting on my 30-minute mark. Let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to discuss. I'm pretty sure I left some stuff out. I think there's two more topics that I want to talk about that I think is important when we're giving to others. And it's dealing with expectations. When we give to people, in our family, however that may look, however we pour into them. Don't have the expectation that that's going to be reciprocated. When we do it, it should be genuine, because that's another burnout feeling. That's another stress feeling, because you feel like I do, and this person's ungrateful. It's not that they're ungrateful. Don't have that expectation for them to be you. Your reward, if you believe in a higher power or your creator, your reward is going to come from your higher power, from your creator. So when you do things, don't expect that person to do the same, because a lot of times we get lost in it. It's like, well, I expect this person to show up for me because I showed up for them that way. It don't work that way. Everybody's different. Everybody's at different levels in their lives, financially, mentally, emotionally. Their capacity to think is different. And that's a hard pill to swallow, especially it was for me, but the more I remind myself of it, the more I become aware of it, right? Because I have an expectation, because in my mind, things are clear, things are black and white. It's like 1 + 1 = 2. But for somebody else, it's probably a longer equation that they're making it more than what it needs to be. And it's a hard pill to accept, because you see, like, why are you going through all this turmoil? Why are you going through all this when you can make your life so simple? So we have to stop expecting people to behave the way we do, to think the way we do, to communicate the way we do. We just need to set our boundaries, protect our peace, pour into ourselves first before we pour into others. I mean, now if you're pouring into the person and you're not feeling depleted and you're not feeling stressed, then do what you do that makes you happy, what you feel you can do. But if it's getting you to the point where it's you know what I'm trying to say, being a burden to you, and it's making you overwhelmed, it's making you stressed, and you're feeling guilty for saying no for something, you just got to fall back and set your boundaries. And like I said, the key is communication. Communicate it how you want. If it's no, that's how you want to communicate, let it be no. And then let it be their problem, not your problem. Stop taking on other people's problems, right? And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying not help people when you can. I'm not saying not love on your loved ones when you can. Just don't do it to a point where it depletes you, where it stresses you out. Know your limit, okay? Because if you croak today because you're stressed, depleted, and whatever, who's going to help that person? Who's going to help you, when you can't help yourself? So keep that in mind, and don't feel guilty about it. Relearn some things, some behaviors. Do some reflection. Think about, your upbringing, on why do you feel like this. Do some research. I had some things for you, but like I said, I don't want to get too much in depth into the conversation. I just want to point out some facts. And the uncomfortable truth about this all is not everyone will like your boundaries, but the right people will respect them. And we just talked about that. If they don't like it, if they can't accept it, it's a them problem, not a you problem. Say the word that goes straight to the point. Mean what you say what you mean, stand on business. And that's that. I mean, that's all I really have for protecting your peace, setting your boundaries, and the topic. If anybody have anything they want to add to it, anything they like, they want me to elaborate on, or questions, or, posing a question, I'll spend like maybe 10, 15 minutes. That's going over, but about 10, 15 minutes. If you have any questions or want to ask something on maybe how, and I won't, if you do in the chat, I'm not going to call your name out, because I know some people don't feel comfortable enough to be on the speaker or me to call it. I'll just be generic with it. Only I can see your chat, I believe. So hopefully not everybody can see the chat. Maybe you can, I don't know. But if you feel comfortable and you have a question on, how would you deal with this situation, or just to kind of elaborate on the conversation so we can all heal and grow from each other's experiences. Maybe you have something to add on to it, another solution, another, anything. Let me know. If not, I'm going to be closing out soon, because your girl got to get some sleep. I got to pour into myself. I'm silly. I think I'm going to pour all my water out, but I got another bottle. See, I got another bottle. I'm not depleting myself. I done poured this bottle into everybody else, but I got another one. Look at that. That's how I like to work. Try not to get depleted, because my body will let me know when I am overwhelmed, when I am getting tired, when enough is enough. My body tells me, and guess what? I listen. So I shut down sometime and I say no sometime. I don't go to places sometimes because my body's like, eh. So, and I don't feel guilty. So, maybe a little bit, just a teeny, teeny bit. Oh, I don't know if this goes with this topic or not, but I felt like this is the last thing, I promise. Um, it's something else I wanted to touch on, and it was about growing. When we grow as individuals, which I feel like we should all be evolving and growing as human beings at some point in life, we should not be the same person that we were 5, 10, 15 years ago. I mean, I hope we're not, unless you already reached your self-actualization and there's no more learning for you, which I think that's impossible. Um, which I think that's impossible to do. Hang on, I'm gonna back up a little bit. Great. That is awesome to hear. Um, sometimes I'm just backing up because I just read a comment about boundaries with your mom or your dad or like your immediate family members, like someone that's true and dear to you. And I'm gonna just use your mom because a lot of with your mother, you feel like you have to give because they gave you your whole life. And at some point, it's true, but at some point, again, it's not. Because if you have it to give, if you can show up and be there for your mom, that's fine. But treat her like you treat anybody else. Mom, I love you. You know I love you. You're my mom. But and you don't even have to say but. You can say, but I'm not going to be able to do that right now, or I'll have to think about it. I have to circle around about it. Don't feel like you always have to, yes, ma'am, your mom because you're your mom. Now, of course, this is with respect. You don't disrespect your mom in no shape, form, or fashion. It's just setting boundaries because you can become depleted mentally, physically, emotionally too from your husband, from your wife, from your mother, from your daughter, from your sister, immediate loved one. And it's not that you love them any less. Saying no and setting boundaries and protecting your peace does not mean that you love your family members any less. It just means that you're choosing yourself. And it's nothing wrong with choosing yourself because if you don't choose yourself, who will? Another analogy, I'm going to take it a little bit in a religion aspect of it. When we die, right? And we're going to be held accountable for our deeds of what we did in life. Is your mom going to be there? Or is it going to be you and your creator? Is your child going to be there? Or is it going to be you and your creator? Is your husband going to be there? Or is it going to be you and your creator? Answer, you and your creator. Nobody's going to be able to speak for you and say, oh, please, from my understanding. Again, nobody's going to be able to negotiate with you and your creator on what you did. You're responsible for you. Just like in this life, you're going to be responsible for you in the afterlife. So treat it no different. Protect your peace, protect your morals, your values. Because sometimes, and people that are Christian on here know that Moses had, I think I'm quoting it right now, I'm no scholar, right? But I think Moses had to leave his son in the flood because he wanted to be rebellious and didn't want to get on a boat. He had to leave his son, right? So he had to protect, and I'm pretty sure that hurt him deeply. Because everybody knows a mother-father love for their child runs deep. But some point, he chose himself. Like, you don't want to listen. God told me to build this boat and put everybody on here. You don't want to get on this boat, then you're going to drown. And it is what it is. So setting boundaries don't just go for friends, family, work. It goes for whoever you encounter with in life, teachers, whoever. But like I said, it's done respectfully. Everything is done communicating it well, because communication is key. How you communicate things, it changes the world, because I could be sitting here telling the same conversation, but delivering it in a arrogant, nasty way, and everybody be like, oh. So delivery and communication is key. Communicate effectively. Be direct sometimes. Sometimes people take being direct and being saying words that go straight to the point as arrogance. It's not. And I have to always remind when I do some of my my videos, when I'm talking, It's not, don't confuse my self-confidence for arrogance. I am not an arrogant person at all. I'm just self-confident. I got to a point in my life where I know who I am. I know my worth. And if you don't like it, guess what? What you eat don't make me poop. So that could sound arrogant. No, it's self-confidence because I do for me. I pour into me. And if you can't accept it and respect that, go that way. It's a you problem, not a me problem, you know? But I think I was touching up on one more thing before I circle back to that one. I was talking about growing. When you grow as an individual, when you grow as a human being, sometimes we lose people in that growth and we feel guilty, right? Because you're like, dang, even if it's best friends. And I think, again, communication is key. For instance, I had, back in the day, in my younger days, I used to party. I used to do things. I used to live the life, so to speak. Only live once, the dolo life, whatever you want to call it. And as I evolved, as I grew, as I became more loving to myself and putting myself first spiritually, there was some things I couldn't do with some of my friends, and that might have disconnected us. And it's not that I love them any differently. It's not that I don't respect them any differently. It's just that I can't show up for them the way I used to show up for them. So if my friend is having a party in a club and, I know what they're going to be doing and they're listening there, I can't go. And if they have to respect it. Oh, they don't have to. They should respect it. And if they don't, that's a them problem, not a me problem. Like I would love to show up for you, but that's just not I don't do that anymore. So it's things like that. And we'll feel guilty for that. And we shouldn't, because sometimes you grow apart from people. Sometimes you grow apart from best friends. Sometimes you grow apart from sisters. And it's just because you're protecting your peace. That person you was 5 years ago and the stuff that you tolerated, allowed in your life, you don't anymore, and you have to move on. And that's okay. And like I said, they respect it or they don't. And like I said, the ugly truth is a lot of people are not going to be comfortable with your boundaries, but the right people will. And those are the people you keep around. It's just that simple. But I think I covered everything. I think those are two last topics that I wanted to talk about. Hopefully you guys got some information that made you reflect, think, and reevaluate, because that's what life is, constantly evolving, constantly becoming a better person every day. And that's what gratitude is. Like my gratitude every day is that I have another day to rectify my affairs with my creator by praying every day, rectify my affairs with anybody that I might have did wrong to that wasn't intentional. Be grateful for the small things in life. And I'm gonna leave y'all with this, I promise. Change your mindset, you change your life. Change your thoughts, you change your life. When you wake up in the morning, start off with positive, because you are what you think. You are what you eat. All of these things are so true. Now, granted, every day is not going to be a perfect day. There's some days, girl or man, whoever's on, I want to jump off the cliff because my kids drive me. They pushing my buttons. I'm sleep deprived. My biggest thing right now is I'm over pouring into work. So I'm a lot of sleep deprived. Like right now, it is 2:00 and I worked last night and I had a busy night last night. Didn't get rest at all. But you don't see it because this is what fuels me. This is feeding another part of my genetic makeup. So it gives me energy, but I will get my sleep. I do get rest. Like my body knows when it's time to crash, I'll be out. I'll probably be in another dimension that y'all don't even know about because I'll be in such a deep sleep. Because when I go to bed, I'm out. Right. So anyways, but yeah, protect your peace by any means necessary. And if those who can't respect it, it's not a you problem. Please don't feel guilty for choosing yourself first, because you do not want to deplete yourself till you have nothing left. It's not good for you, and it's not good for those around you. Again, like it comes out in anger, it comes out in frustration and all of those negative tonic things that we talk about. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this live. I will see you guys in the platform. I'm going to continue doing what I do. If there's anything you guys want to see differently that you want to talk about, always send a chat. And this is another thing I want to remind you people that are on, the ones who are participating. You do have the capability in that growth and evolution platform to post things. I think I said it all in the beginning. I don't have to be the only one that posts. So if there is topics that are, and you see the vibe of the group, as long as it's positive, it's going to help somebody evolve. It's going to help somebody learn from your experience. Please share. But if you don't want to because you feel vulnerable or you just don't like to speak out or whatever, it's fine. I can keep doing what I'm doing. But I just want to make it clear that that part of the platform is not just for me. That is for all of us to grow and evolve, to learn from each other. Okay. So if there is something that comes to mind and you want to, spark the minds or get us thinking to grow and evolve, or maybe touch something that you feel like something that was buried within you and now you finally light bulb came on and you feel like it'll resonate with somebody else, please post it, because that's what I do. Literally, I go through life and reflect on experiences daily. I'm very observant about things at this point in my life. I'm like in tune internally. So everything that you see and hear comes from the heart. Okay, why does it feel like this is supposed to go down? Sorry, I'm trying to see if there's another chat on here. Maybe it's not. Okay. I didn't want to miss anybody comment. Sorry. But yeah, feel free to do so. All right. All right, guys, I'm going to end this here because I got to get me some rest. I got to pour into me. I hope you guys have a wonderful Saturday, a prosperous Saturday, a reflective Saturday. If you are in a mood today and something is bothering you, because sometimes it don't have to be you, it could be somebody that's next to you that aura stinks, that rubs off on you. If that is you today, I want you to focus on some gratitude, something that you're grateful for, something that you're thankful for. And it can be something as simple as having eyes to see, because there's people right now that wish they had eyes to see. So always try to turn your negatives into a positive. Again, easier said than done, but the more you practice it, the more it becomes a habit. What you do daily, what you do frequently becomes your frequency. So if you're practicing gratitude every day, if you're practicing positivity every day, that's what you're going to attract. That's going to be your aura. And like I said, granted, we're human. There's going to be days you're going to want to explode. There's going to be days that you're upset, but just don't stay there. There's going to be days that you feel depressed. There's going to be days that you feel sad. These are all necessary feelings and emotions to let us know that something is off internally. If we didn't have those feelings and emotions, we would never know that something's wrong. So I always say, embrace those feelings, embrace the sadness, embrace the anger. It's not the key is not, or I should say that the issue is not having those feelings and emotions. It's what you do after you feel them. What do you do to the person next to you? How do you talk? So just be mindful of those things. Don't think that something's wrong with you because you're sad, you're angry, you're upset, especially as females. We're up, we're down, we're all around because and I haven't experienced menopause yet, but I hear it's but I'm preparing. I'm trying to do things now to prepare me for that, because that saying, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And I think a lot of women that go through menopause never prepare for it. And they try to tell me that, oh, you just wait. Did you prepare for it? Were you ready? And I know experience is the best teacher, but I have some things to kind of help counteract this. At least that's my plan. I'm not going in blindly, Anyways, that's a whole nother topic. I'm going to go because I keep saying I'm going to go and I'm still here running my mouth. Oh my goodness. Thanks to my mama, I got a water faucet mouth. But anyway, guys, have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining. I hope you got something from this live. Next time, I hope you guys participate. I mean, I had a few participations that threw some things out there, but it's nice to have some interaction. One day I'm going to have a co-host. I'm going to have somebody else that we can, kind of talk back and forth, one day soon. All right. Well, enjoy your day. I'll see you guys soon in a platform. Remember, if there's anything you guys want to hear, want to talk about, please feel free to send me a chat, a text, whatever. All right. Peace, love, and light. You guys have an awesome Saturday. Be safe and be grateful.